property and in our lives that have got us into investigating the paranormal and the supernatural. And so, like Tracy said earlier, let's do our best to keep an open mind, because some of this stuff's going to sound wild. But the good news is we have some video and some photographic evidence that we will be showing that we can look at and hopefully hear. So during that part, we might want to move a little closer. We're using this Bluetooth speaker as the main audio output. But I just have to share with you this. In 2019, I first came to the property. Ed Brown had set up an expedition. He wanted to bring together paranormal researchers, which I was, UFO researchers, and Bigfooters to the property. And so we showed up on the property. This is the first time I'd ever been there. I heard it was described as the Skinwalker Ranch of the South. If you've ever heard of that place, there's all kinds of crazy stuff happening. And coincidentally, the government also has studied that property. So I was like, oh yeah, baby, let's go. And little did I know that my life would be forever changed from that one single trip. Now, I'm kind of a woo-woo guy. I'm wearing crystals, you know what I mean? I love all that stuff. I have a shamanic Reiki healer I go see. I have friends who are psychics. So it takes a lot to make me feel like, oh, this is weird, man, right? But so we get to the property, and I want to do a paranormal investigation inside the house. Now, Bill and Carolyn didn't know me, and I could tell she didn't trust me yet. So she's like, well, let's see, hon, right? And so after a couple days of exploring the property, we caught a very, very compelling thermal image of a creature's head that was running away from us in a field. We'll show that later. After a few days, I think Carolyn finally trusted me enough to do a paranormal investigation inside their house, where they had some weird ghost activity, where they had a digital recorder recorded a disembodied voice when no one was home, calling their dog, Ozzy, if you remember Ozzy, that wonderful dog. And then you can hear Ozzy walking across the floor after it happens. So I was like, oh, I can't wait to get into this house. And so I do about 2 hours by myself in the house. Didn't really notice anything at the time, but I had a bunch of different devices running, and you'll hear an example of one of those kinds of devices later tonight as we present some more evidence. But nothing really crazy happened. But the night before is when we caught the thermal image of that creature running away from us in the field. And so the rest of the team was at that location. So they all came back afterwards. It was about 12 o'clock, and we're talking about, what happened that night. Nothing really happened. And so then Carolyn tells me a story about a bedroom in the house that she was calling the dream chamber. Because when people sleep in there, they have the craziest dreams of their life. And so I said, wow, that sounds really cool. She's like, I want you to sleep in the dream chamber. I was like, let me get my dream journal, Carolyn. So I was sleeping in the Sugar Shack at the time with Ed Brown, who was here. We were sharing that space. And so Ed and I decided to walk down to the Sugar Shack. And Ed will tell you that there was no sugar happening in the shack. So I go down to the Sugar Shack with Ed. We're having a good time. We're talking about how fun it is to be at the property. And I'm talking about the paranormal investigation. It was an intense thing, but nothing really crazy happened. And so we hang out for a few minutes. I grab my toiletry bag and a notebook to walk up back to the house. And as I'm walking out of the Sugar Shack, Ed, and you'll meet Ed here in a little bit, did something very out of character. He looked at me and genuinely said, before I walked up the driveway, he said, be careful. And I was like, it took me back, because I was like, that seems weird, right? Because I was getting ready to break two of the rules that were established before we arrived. And those two rules were never be on the property alone at night, and never be without one of the armed investigators. We had a couple guys there who were always armed in case something crazy happened. So I was like, that's kind of weird. Ed closes the door, he latches the Sugar Shack door. I take about 6 steps off that front porch, and I start making my way up the driveway through the darkness. And then from directly behind me, I hear what I can only describe as the most terrifying scream, yell I've ever heard in my life. And so I instantly turn around, and I'm not really the most courageous guy you're ever going to meet in your life. And so we had a code word on that expedition, avalanche. If we yelled the word avalanche, any of the guys with a gun knew that they needed to have their gun out, ready to shoot something. And so I start to yell the word avalanche and then remember, oh, they're already back at the hotel. There's no avalanche to yell. And then I remember, oh, Ed's in there. So I start to yell Ed. And then I remember, well, Ed's closer to this monster to yell. I better not yell Ed. So what it sounded like was, oh, Ed! And so then I realized I need to get the hell out of here. And I start running as fast as I can up that sandy driveway. And then about 3/4 of the driveway, I do the bravest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I look behind me to see how close this thing is that's going to eat me. And I don't see it. Because when the scream happened, I instantly knew I was the bottom of the food chain. And I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but I never had, and I never want to again. And I thought I was going to be killed. And so I get up to the front gate, I open the gate, and I can't get that damn little gate closed. And my mom's in my head going, you're a guest at their house, you better close that gate, don't be rude. And I was like, I can't get the gate. Because then subconsciously I thought if I left that gate open, that thing is being invited in. So I wanted to get it closed. And I get into the house. There's only one person, one researcher, David Wright, R.I.P. David, he's no longer with us. He's the last person awake in the kitchen. And I close the door and I lock it behind me, and he's looking at me like I'm a ghost. And I'm shaking. All the hair on my body's standing up. I'm actually crying a little bit. And I was shattered in this moment, and I couldn't speak. And he goes, what did you see? And I said, I didn't see anything, I heard it. And he goes, can you recreate it? And I go, I don't know, but I'll try. So it's about 1 a.m. Bill and Carolyn are in their bedroom sleeping, and I'm in their kitchen just yelling, Wah! So Carolyn comes out, and she goes, David, what are you doing? And then she sees me, and she goes, oh my God, you saw it. And I go, I didn't see it, Carolyn, I heard it. And then she came over and she hugged me immediately. And I couldn't sleep that night, obviously. We stayed up for a few hours and we talked about the experience. My heart wouldn't stop racing. I had a Fitbit at the time. The next afternoon, I looked at my app and it said I burned 7,000 calories just trying to sleep. Because after that experience, anytime I'm at their house and I'm trying to fall asleep, even still 6 years later, I'm listening for footsteps. I'm listening for knocks. I'm listening for bangs or growls or screams, and it's terrifying. I live in Los Angeles, so a couple days later, I wake up early, and I drive as fast as I can from Chattahoochee, Florida, to Los Angeles, California, where I live. And I get pulled over by the Florida State Police, the Highway Patrol, before I hit Louisiana. And the patrolman comes up to the passenger side of the window while I'm pulled over on the freeway, and he goes, how you doing? And I go, do you want to know the truth? And he goes, okay. And I hold out my hand, and I'm still shaking 2.5 days later. And he goes, what's going on? I go, the problem with looking for Bigfoot is sometimes you find them. And that's when you realize you didn't want to. And he goes, okay, you been drinking today? And I said, no. He goes, you been smoking? And I said, no. And then I told him about the experience. And then his buddy's up at the window, and they start getting really interested. And I go, oh, I bet you've seen, excuse my French, I bet you've seen some shit out here. And they both just nod their head, and they're like, we don't have time to talk about it today. Just be safe and keep driving. So about 2 days later, I get back to my apartment, surrounded in the city by other people. I can't sleep with my lights off in my apartment. I find a PTSD therapist to try to help me. The first day I'm there talking to him, I said, he goes, what brings you in here today? I go, well, probably 4 or 5 things, but I'll get to 2 of them later. So it took Bigfoot to get me through the door, right? And I still see that therapist every Friday. To this day. And about a year later, I was able to start sleeping with my lights off. And he told me something very important about a month into our sessions. He said, you have to go back to the property. And I looked at him and I said, no, I'll never go back to that place. And he said, well, something to think about, or it's going to control you the rest of your life. And here we are 6 years later, about 10 trips later, and I still get scared as hell when that sun goes down. It's a night and day situation at that house. And I don't know what it is. And we're here to share our personal stories with you, because over the years we've realized that there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there, and it could be hard to document some of it. It's hard to get video of these things, but we've been doing our best to try to figure it out the best we can. And I want to give you a brief timeline, the best we know it, talking with Bill and Carolyn here. We've got some slides, some videos and some things about what's been happening out at Flat Creek, or as we call it, Portal Creek. So let's hit that first slide here. This is what we think we know, which is an important phrase here, what we think we know. That these are the things that are happening or have been reports of, and potentially we have captured evidence of in some form or another that is occurring at the house of Bill and Carolyn Bridges. We have a doctor has discovered a chip in Carolyn's brain. We will be showing you x-rays of that chip here tonight. Footprint casts. We have footprints in the snow. We have casts back on this table. Bill and Carolyn have created a cast of one of them, and another researcher created a Bigfoot cast that's back on this table as well. If you want to come back and look at these at any point, feel free. Lights in the sky. We saw lights last night. We saw lights the night before. There have been orbs reported by groups of people who all witnessed the same thing down by the creek on their property. Very reliable witnesses. We have portals, potential portals. Independent researchers like ourselves have been trying to confirm this kind of thing. We have government researchers who have been to the property that first mentioned the word portal to them. That's why we are piggybacking off of this information and seeing what we can find. And I believe we have a video that is very compelling, potentially. It's unexplainable to us at this time of where we believe one of the portals is on the property. So I look forward to showing you that as well. UFOs, aliens, we have mysterious visitors that have come to the property. Electric company-esque people, even though I've been told the electric company here in town does not use contractors. There are people checking their transformer box multiple times over the years. And Carolyn has experienced lost time. Lost time is a phenomenon that many UFO and alien abductees have referenced. When you think it's one time and you wake up and you don't know where that time went previously. This is often indicated by blood on pillows. Confusion when you wake up. Sometimes people will wake up. We have a researcher who's not here tonight who was in an RV that belonged to Tracy and Alicia at the campgrounds next door after we did a CE5, which is trying to call in UFO sightings meditation. Later that night, the RV at the campground filled with blue orbs. And he got very terrified and then told himself, this is what we're here for, don't be scared, and then woke up 3 hours later saying, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. And I said, bro, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it sounds like you just got. Like you got it. That's an alien, that's classic alien abduction stuff. And he goes, I don't feel like that. And I go, it's your story, I'm not going to tell you what happened. But to go through some of the other things, let's go to the timeline now. So the construction of the house in the year 2000, the guys putting in the carpet at the house saw a large, black, brown, hairy creature down by the creek that they didn't talk about until much later because they didn't want to be called crazy, right? That is the first sighting we know of a creature at that property while it was still under construction. Then you go to the first night Bill and Carolyn sleep in the house, there is banging on the house. That's when the house is built. Roughly 2006, 2007, around that time, that's when they contact the BFRO, which is the Bigfoot Research Organization, which some of you may know. Those people were on Finding Bigfoot when they were on the second episode ever of that show. They got called out there because of a greasy handprint on the door that was on the inside of the storm door on their observation deck. Also a broken bird feeder that if you watch the second episode of Finding Bigfoot, you can see a bear would not be able to break and bend that pole all the way down to the ground. Then we've got 2008, we have a BFRO expedition, where it turns out later it is discovered that one of the government researchers who comes out to the property was on that expedition with his fake son, with someone else posing as his son. That is a person that's now in close contact with Bill and Carolyn on a regular basis. They've become friends over the years. 2018, Carolyn is home sick from work one day, and she notices people walking around the front yard. She opens the front door, she calls them to the door. It's two guys who identify themselves as Department of Defense. Gives Carolyn her badge, and she goes, you know, I know somebody in law enforcement. I used to be in law enforcement. I can run this badge and we can find out if you're who you are, who you say you are. Sure enough, she does that, and these people were above top clearance, cleared to be wherever they wanted. Those two guys then come out later and do about a week-long camping trip. And on that camping trip, at the end of it, they show Bill and Carolyn video during the daytime of their side yard of a blurry section of the video that they said, we believe this to be a portal. We want to bring a team out here and we want to research and find out if it is. So not long after, a large team of different specialties of people come out and they research the property for about over a week. They had all kinds of different people there researching. They put Carolyn under a hypnosis at one point to try to show her some things as well. So they were researching the property, and this is important for tonight's presentation. They were also researching Carolyn, which is something that we find very interesting as well. And for those of you who know Carolyn, you might think, well, that's not a surprise. We're going to get into some of the psychokinetic abilities and what that might even mean, manifestation and things like that briefly as well. So, and then 2019 was the first time the iteration of this team arrived. Ed Brown set up an expedition, and I was a part of that, and we've been coming back ever since. Now, I want to get through some of the stories here briefly. That Bill and Carolyn have experienced on the property. And I think a lot of people here already know these stories, or some people know some stories, some people know other stories, etc. And some people might even been involved. We're not bringing up names here. Privacy is important to everybody. And we'll do a Q&A later at the very end. We'll also do a section after this where if anyone wants to share any kind of story, we'd encourage you to do that, because all of us will be doing the same. Let's see here what we got. Okay, so we've got the evidence here in the beginning. Let's talk about the manifestation first. Ever since she was young, Carolyn has experienced what I would call, and what I've determined to be, manifestation abilities. When she was around 5 or 6 years old, her parents asked her what she wanted for her birthday. She said a horse. They laughed at her. You can't have a horse. And then a little bit later, her dad's taking out the trash. She goes with him. And I believe the backyard was up against a cemetery. And at that fence line was a white horse just hanging out, looking at their house. And when I first heard this story, I was like, let's manifest some lotto numbers, Carolyn. And I was like, this is manifestation. It's not just random horses running around people's neighborhoods usually, right? And then later we have other stories. There's a cat food story some of you may have heard. There was a wild cat over by the Highlight building on Flat Creek Road. Carolyn's like, oh, we need to get some cat food for this cat if it's still going to be around. They pull into the campgrounds on their way back from being in town, and there's nobody there in the shop. Then they see a large bag of cat food just sitting outside the office steps. And then someone who works there comes out and she goes, do you have any tuna or something we can feed the cat? I said, no, sorry, but this random bag of cat food, which we have no idea why it's here, is here. You can just take it. So they took the cat food. So not all this stuff is like supernatural crazy. It's like sometimes it's just normal everyday things, right? One time they were out and about, and on their way home, Carolyn said, I bet there's a snake over there. We got to be careful. Turns out there was a copperhead snake on the property. Carolyn is the one who, I believe, gets a shovel and kills the copperhead snake. Bill takes the snake and buries it in the yard. The next morning they wake up. That snake that was killed and buried is now stretched out with its face pointing the front door as soon as you open the door. So Bill did use that opportunity to scare Carolyn later. and say, come to the door and look at this, and she's jumped back. So now he has to bury the snake a second time. So he goes out to the yard, buries the snake a second time. The next day, Carolyn is out walking around and smells something dead and notices that buried snake for a second time is now dug up and coiled up in the yard by where they buried it. We don't know why, we don't know who, we don't know what, we don't know how. But these are just the things that are happening that they're trying to wrap their brain around and not feel like maniacs telling people, you know what I mean? There's other, they were swimming, they were at the river, I believe, the Apalachicola River. Carolyn wouldn't get in the river because she's like, there's snakes in the river. And he said, there's not snakes, just get in the river. She jumps in the river and she gets bit by a cottonmouth snake. And there's another copperhead story, I believe, as well. There's, this is something fascinating to me, manifestation and psychokinetic ability. Psychokinetic abilities is when your brain has more power to move and or do things that other people's brains might not do. That's just a very generic, basic definition of that. Now, Bill has a tendency to upset Carolyn from time to time, and they're at a restaurant, and Carolyn got upset, and all of a sudden, a lightning storm shows up over the restaurant. And I believe there were two friends who were going to be meeting you at that restaurant. And they were just down the street. And so Carolyn called and said, oh my God, it's a storm. This is a crazy storm happening. Is it okay where you're at? They're like, oh, it's perfectly fine where we are. And we have a slide that shows you the weather map of that moment that we'll be showing you here tonight. So when you see that, that's what I'm referencing. The security gate won't open sometimes when Bill's trying to leave and go to work. So he'll call Carolyn and say, Carolyn, can you please take a couple deep breaths and make the security gate work? And she'll say, okay. She'll take a couple deep breaths and then the security gate will open. The car will always, sometimes it won't crank. The side view mirrors will start going wonky. These are classic signs of someone who has psychokinetic abilities who doesn't have them under control or they're going wild. They are affecting electronics around their environment. She's blown up, I think, 4 or 5 AC units, 3 or 4 microwaves. There's erasers in their house to touch the thermostats because if she touches it, if she's upset, the whole neighborhood's power grid will go down. That's happened multiple times. And then, what else do we have here? Exploding appliances, the car not working. This is an interesting story of a busted light bulb. She was changed to the normal everyday task. That can be kind of throw you into a mental loop if you're not ready for it. She took out the old light bulb, and as she was screwing it out, it came back on for a second and went back out, which has happened to almost everybody that's here tonight, I think. And then she had the new light bulb in her hand. But then when she took the old light bulb that was no longer working and put it into her hand, the new one lit up in her hand and then exploded. Now, what is going on? There's an electrical charge happening. And so as researchers, we're like, we got to try to figure out if you have an electrical charge. So we did a test about a year ago, and everybody on the expedition, we tried to measure our electrical charge with a scientific experiment in the front yard. None of us registered anything on the, the RF meter? What was it? The voltage meter. So we had a voltage meter. No one had any voltage that they were showing, except Carolyn, when we held it over her head. Which to us was very compelling considering all the other evidence that's surrounding her experiences with this stuff. I mean, there's really a lot going on here, and I'd really like to get into some of the good evidence here. But the electrical company guys who showed up all the time, I think we have to talk about that for a second. Because there's multiple occasions where they showed up, one of them specifically where she experienced some lost time phenomena. There's another guy who showed up one time when their power went out, and I believe it was Bill who said, oh, you know what, I wonder if John and Tracy, who are their neighbors and friends, I wonder if their power went out too. Wouldn't that be something if it did? Turns out they were the only other people in the area whose power went out. And some guy from the electric company showed up at the house, and he said, I was just coming out to check to make sure you were okay. And she's like, what? And he goes, is the power out in the neighborhood? And he goes, oh, one other place. And but I'm going there too. So they touched base with John and Tracy the next day, Guess who didn't have anyone come to their house? That guy never showed up at their place. But their power also was out. So it's just like a lot of weird, crazy coincidences that after a while you have to say there's something really going on here. And the human existence is about sharing stories and telling stories, and evidence is awesome. Scientific data is great. But when we lose the connection, the human connection of being able to share a story with another person that might seem crazy, that might seem like science fiction, we lose an essential part of what it means to be these magical creatures of human beings. And so this whole thing happening tonight is about sharing these stories and hoping that we can find connection and we can maybe shed some of the stigma that gets attached to being the weirdo, the paranormal person, the Bigfoot lady, things like that. And so let's get into some of the good stuff. And I'm going to turn off this fan real quick. So we can hear a little better. We're going to show you all kinds of evidence here real quick, and then we're going to share some more stories. So let's hit the next one. Okay, so where, why, how? We're trying to figure all this stuff out. Can you guys hear back there? Is it all right? Okay, now some of the video stuff might be a little low for you, so let me know. It might help to turn that big one off in the back when we get in for this stuff. Oh yeah, that sounds better. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the first one here. What do we got? Okay, so like I said, we were going to show you x-rays of the chip in the brain. Carolyn's doctor accidentally discovered this chip in her brain when she was in there for an x-ray that was unrelated to her head. I think it was your neck or your back. And while doing his recording note-taking, he said, he told Carolyn to be quiet because he has to make some notes on his recorder for the x-ray. And he says, possible artifact, jewelry. And then quickly looks back at Carolyn, and then quickly her appointment is over with her doctor. And she's confused, obviously, as one might be. Then later she has to go back to that doctor, and I believe it was his nurse practitioner at the time who was seeing her, and she asked to bring up the x-ray so she could take a photo of it, so this woman did. And so these are the photos of that x-ray, of that first x-ray. Let's go to the next slide. We can see that's another angle of it. So there's something in the middle of her head, and we'll get to or inside the skull. We'll get to that in a second. And so then she sends it to some people that are close to her to try to find out if she's crazy or if there's a chip in her head, right? And everyone close to her is saying, oh, no, that's my dog has a chip. That's what that looks like. Someone else works in the x-ray world. That's a chip. Someone on our team here has been an x-ray technician. We have confirmation that is something that's not natural inside the head that looks exactly like a microchip. So she gets to, I think we can talk about this, right, with you. So then Brian, her current doctor, gets involved, orders another x-ray. Let's go to the next slide. These are the second set of x-rays looking for confirmation. It is still there. Let's go to the next slide. This is another angle of it. Still there from both sides. I think there's one more. Or actually, let's go back to that last one. Now, the interesting part about this is we've been told we can kind of share this with everyone here. Everyone here is friends and family. There was a person from the government who Carolyn and Bill are still in regular contact with. And so she called this person and said, I need to talk to you because I think there's a chip in my head. And his response was, do you want it removed? It wasn't, what? Which you think might be the first response. And then he says, you cannot have it removed. It's inside the skull. And from what we understand and what we believe, ETs, not humans, that's the information that we've been told, are the ones who put it there. Now this tracks with lost time, electric company workers showing up at the house, blood found on the pillow, by the ear. Is this when the chip was put in? We don't know, but we're trying to connect dots here so people feel more sane, right? Okay, so let's go to the next bit of info we got. Footprints and casts. There's a couple back here. Our expedition in 2019, we made a cast of a very large footprint that I believe was also around 16 inches. We're getting footprints regularly out at the property, and let's show you some of those photos. This is when the big snowstorm happened down here that I've been told is not normal. And Bill and Carolyn went out on their mule to drive around the property, and they noticed very large footprints that were conspicuous because people weren't just walking through their neighbors' yards during this time. Let's go to the next slide. This is a measurement of one of the footprints from the snow that they found that led into their main backyard wooded area to the edge of their property. That's coming in at what, about 16 and a half inches, I believe. I can't see from here without my glasses. Or about 14 and a half inches it actually looks like. Let's go to the next slide. These are the different footprints that over the years have been cast out at the property. We have 2 of those here tonight. As you can see, these are not human footprints. The larger ones that are bookending this photo, very, very compelling, and the smaller ones as well. Not an identified animal, from game wardens and other people who are familiar with tracks and able to identify these things. The one on the footprint back here, actually the Bill and Carolyn cast, the first time they ever did it, was actually confirmed by Dr. Jeff Meldrum, who unfortunately just passed away in the last 2 weeks, who was dedicating his life to try to confirm Bigfoot tracks as, I believe, a paleontologist or an
Professor of anthropology.
A professor of anthropology at a major university in the United States when he was alive. Let's go to the next slide. And this is for scale. A person's foot next to the track that has been cast on the property. Pretty compelling stuff. Let's keep going. Now this is August 1st of this year. Carolyn sees a creature that looks like it's on all fours, very large, kind of like a wolf and or a large dog on the property during the daytime, and then it kind of disappears. Bill goes down, takes his camera, finds an actual wolf track on the property. We have not seen that wolf. I hope to not see that wolf, to be honest with you, while we're out there in the middle of the night going around doing investigations. So there's all kinds of creatures and things happening. On our trail cams that we went and emptied the memory cards when we first got here a few days ago, we found a cow, just randomly, that is not the neighbor's cow. So there's a loose cow running around Chattahoochee. Bobcats, boar or wild hogs, deer, and other cats, but we did not get a wolf. Unfortunately, we haven't captured it yet. So let's go to the next one, see what we got. Let's see if we can hear this. Let's turn the volume up. We might have to. These are.
Hold the microphone.
Let's go back and then yeah. So you can hear, those are wood knocks, what we call wood knocks. This was recorded on a digital handheld recorder on the inside windowsill of the Sugar Shack, probably around 3:30, 4 in the morning, when Ed Brown and I were both sleeping in the Sugar Shack at the time. One of us is snoring, I don't know who. You can hear the wood knock get lighter, which means either Bigfoot are communicating from across the distance with each other, or one is walking and hitting. Now, a wood knock is when a Bigfoot, something that needs a thumb, let's just say that. Something that needs a thumb holds a very thick stick and bangs a tree. That's what we call wood knocks. And that's what we believe we captured on that digital recorder in 2019. So let's go to the next one here. So lights in the sky. Over the years, many people have seen UFOs, orbs, flying lights in the sky when out at the property and around it. So let's see what we got here. This is a strange light caught on a security camera down on their driveway past the Sugar Shack. We don't know what that is. Somewhat compelling as a beam. We believe there to be a portal in this exact area. Let's go to the next one. This is video. Now we'll see it slow-mo. Hold on a second. This happened on, I believe, what is that, the 17th? So 3 nights ago, we captured this on the property 3 nights ago on their security camera. Go to the next one.
Come on. Yeah.
So 3 unknown lights of some kind of something all simultaneously lift out of the ground at the same time, right around a circular rim of what we believe to be a portal area. And the reason we believe that is we've done other tests down there with paranormal research devices, and we've gotten responses as specific as the dimensions of the portal. So let's go to the next. This is that same area right afterwards.
The tree with the light at the bottom. Now they're back down again. Dude, I don't know what the heck that is. That's really weird. Yeah, it is like right there actually. Well, I mean, it's above that, but it's right there in front of you on the other side of the tree, though. And
And it just lifts out of the shot. Now, the light that came on is a motion-activated light that we placed there to see if anything would interact with it and turn it on without us being there. And we were watching it on camera and observing it from up at the house. Now, we don't know what that is. I can't sit here and be like, you know what, I guarantee you that's a little orb, that's a UFO, that's a spirit or something.
We didn't see it.
Well, we didn't see it. Dan and I were the ones there in that video. We could not see. It was pitch black out because it was 1:50 in the morning on Wednesday morning. We could not see whatever that was right there hovering and floating. We couldn't see it. So was it an artifact or something strange on a spider web? I can't tell you that it wasn't. But it happened right after those 3 lights went up, which we believe is an indication that maybe the portal was activated. We don't know. So let's keep moving here. So this is back, I've been talking about this, portals. Through government researchers and independent researchers, we believe that there are at least 3 up to 6 or more portals on the property. Let's keep going. And this is that, same shot. Let's keep going.
That's what we do, right?
Go back real quick. Before I show you this video, this happened 2 nights ago. Well, actually, this happened.
Oh,
That date's wrong.
That's the other scene.
Oh, yeah, that's the other scene. Okay, this was, I think, 2 nights ago. Matthew, who you'll meet in a second, was sitting in a chair in the middle of what we believe to be the portal using an ITC device, which is a device that we believe can facilitate communication with intelligences that are either spirit, ET, interdimensional, or otherwise. And so we're asking it questions looking for very specific, direct answers, and this is what we get.
That's what we do, right?
Dietitian.
I was going to say starting to something like that. To a property. Property? Whose property are we on? It's the Bridges.
The Bridges. Oh my God.
It's the Bridges.
That's insane. That was very clear.
That was perfect.
Yeah,
It's
thank
the
you.
Bridges.
Yes. No shadows? So this land's a lot older than just the Bridges, right? 4.
Does it give you the word?
Sometimes there's like a random word generator in this too that you can turn off or on.
Interesting.
So is this a portal location? Are we correct?
That is certain.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
Okay.
We forgot to cut that out. Sorry for your
That was supposed to be cut out.
That was supposed to be cut out. I may have accidentally, on purpose, forgot. Just to show in the moment this is happening, we're kind of like getting a direct response to a question like that is pretty compelling for us as investigators. You come to a place like the Bridges and you get spoiled to death. Like we weren't planning on using evidence from the current trip. Just to be clear, we were going to use evidence from all these past trips that we've accumulated over the years. And so much has been happening in the 4 days we've been there that we're like, okay, well, this has got to go in because it just happened. Let's go to the next slide here. Aliens and creatures. Now this is where it gets, crazy for some people. Some people think psychokinesis is crazy. Some people think aliens is crazy. We don't know what's going on with those people from the electric company. We have an idea, right, that we think they were ETs, but we can't be sure. I have never seen a Bigfoot. I've heard some. I don't believe it was a Bigfoot that screamed at me. These years later, I believe it was a different creature. There's lots of talk of Dogman on that property. We don't think it's there anymore. Let's go to see what slide is next. That's the chip. We believe the aliens put that there. This is the thermal image that we got in 2019 of the creature that ran away from us on the neighboring property.
Really zoomed in, by the way.
No, but you can't see this right now. I'm showing you this first, and then you'll see what's next. Now we sent it to an artist, a person who's familiar with this, to sketch what they see in that image. So go back. Now go forward. Now go forward. Oh, I thought I put it side by side. It's not there. Sorry. But that was a heat signature that was caught on a thermal camera by a former game warden in Lake Arrowhead, California, who is a Bigfoot researcher, knows how to track all kinds of animals, former law enforcement, has that kind of credibility that he brings to investigations. So this is the next slide. We've got some kind of creature's arm just on the door. We have no idea what this is. Is it something that came up and leaned up against the door? That has happened there before with the greasy handprint on the inside of a storm door. We don't know. It's, at the very least, this is a very spooky photo that causes pause, especially when interesting, weird things are happening already. And if you look at the drip lines, they're going through the arm of whatever this thing is. But let's go to the next one. This is just a close-up of that. Okay. And what is manifestation? Now, I'm going to be playing for you just a small snippet of Dr. Jeffrey Tarrant, who couldn't be here. He is a psychologist who studies psychics' brains. He's very interested in understanding the science of what it means to have psychic abilities. And so Jeff has come in on this investigation to help participate, and we put Carolyn into a study session with EEGs on her, and we went through the steps with her. And Dr. Tarrant then went over the results with Carolyn and I on a Zoom meeting after he was able to comb through all the data. And these are just small snippets of like an over hour-long Zoom meeting. So I hope it makes any kind of sense. And I think it will help, if nothing else, to give a glimpse into what's happening with her brain. Because I know some people here are familiar with stories about her potentially having healing abilities and manifestation or psychokinetic things that happen. So let's see what Dr. Jeff has to say about her results. Oh, actually, this is the storm. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Look at that. The lightning storm that's centered directly over their restaurant. Their blue dot is the location. And when Carolyn was upset earlier at that restaurant with our dear friend, I don't imagine what Bill did to make her upset, but that is when the lightning storm came and went out of nowhere on that afternoon. And so let's see what Dr. Jeff has to say about the brain results.
So with Delta, you can see the whole head is red. So basically it's saying you've got more Delta pretty much globally, everywhere, compared to the database. Same thing with Theta, except for this little spot right in the middle, which is kind of interesting, and I'll come back to that. And then when we get into so kind of across the board, you've got more activity than we would expect. Pretty much everywhere, right? So you got a busy brain.
Next slide. Oh, wait, real quick.
Is that, so with Delta, you can see the whole head is red.
When he says against the whole database, he says you have more Delta than the entire database globally. Or he's talking about that top image on the upper left of the screen, which is one of the deepest brain states that mystics or meditators, they're always trying to get into this state. And there's a lot of activity there for psychics through research and study. Now, and channelers and mediums. But he says she has more than the database, which means all of the psychics and people he's studying, she is showing more than, well, she's showing more than me, I'll tell you that, and almost all of us. And then he'll get into what that means specifically here. Oh, is that unmuted?
Is that Delta and Theta can also be kind of associated with things like the unconscious and subconscious. So deeper states of awareness. And So it makes me wonder if maybe that's more what this is representing, is that it's like you're kind of more open, right? Because another way to think about it, so like I've seen other like mediums and folks, right, who have a lot of slow brainwave activity. And again, they don't seem to have any cognitive problems, at least the ones I'm talking about. But what it seems to do is disinhibits the sort of normal, if you want to say normal, the normal functioning of the brain, right? So that you're more open. So to me, it suggests a more openness to things, which, you know, could be good, but also could be problematic, which we've seen, right? You know, maybe you don't always want to be open to everything. So I suspect that's probably what this is.
So yeah, we've kind of gone over a little bit of the good and the bad on that, with the, you know, blowing up the AC unit, all that kind of stuff. So this is the last bit here.
You know, the brain is largely inhibitory. It's trying to stop things. It's trying to inhibit things. But then if you have a bunch of delta and theta, basically what that's doing is it's like turning those parts of the brain off and going like, yeah, we don't need you right now. So then it doesn't have the inhibitory function. So what that means is that, you know, whereas maybe if all that delta and theta wasn't there, you might still feel the emotions, but you could turn it down or ignore it or, you know, whatever. But, you know, with all the delta and theta, you can't, right? It's just like, it's just full on because you can't escape it. There's no filter, right? So you know, from you know, putting my psychology hat back on for a minute, you know, so you've got a sort of a tricky dilemma here, because it's like, you know, I could probably come up with something that would help you turn down that delta and theta, but then that also might affect some of these other things.
Okay, and I think, what's the next? Now this is probably, in my humble opinion, the most undeniable evidence of something supernatural and paranormal happening at the Bridges house. A Florida Gator and a Florida Seminoles fan are living happy together. Let's go to the next slide. So we'd like to thank Bill and Carolyn for setting this all up. Now we're going to get into what is a little more difficult, I think, for a lot of us to understand as far as evidence goes. But this is, let's go to the next slide. Oh, that's a cute little video there. And so one more. So we're going to talk a little bit about PRISM, instrumental transcommunication. I'm going to let our team expert on this, Matthew Jackson, who is incredibly gifted in this field, and he can tell you more about that. And we're going to show you about a two-minute clip of more responses that we got over the years, much like when he was sitting in the chair and it said the Bridges. That is certain. So let me intro Matthew Jackson from ITC Voices, one of my best buddies, and he's going to take over for right now.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right, so thank you, everyone, for allowing us to do this. Thank you, Ryan, for convincing me to go to northern Florida to find Bigfoot. It's not what I anticipated at all, but I'm so happy and proud to have been a part of this investigation and met some incredible people and made some incredible friends, so it's really meant the world to me. So yeah, I bring a unique aspect to this type of investigation because I'm not a Bigfoot researcher or anything like that. I guess you would say that when I first started my journey into exploring weird concepts, I was looking for ghosts. Well, that wound up not working out. Simply because everything that I thought I knew about exploring the concept of ghosts turned out not to be the way that I expected it to be. And it kept just opening more and more doors for me as far as like the possibilities of how we all interact with phenomena that we can't seemingly understand. And it's mainly been through what they call instrumental transcommunication, or ITC for short, that has taken me down that path. And I have like an incredible team of people that I've worked with over the years that have allowed me to be at the forefront of some of the most advanced technology when it comes to ITC. And so to understand what ITC is, good luck, because I've been doing it for years and I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But in theory, ever since we've invented recording devices, since we've invented radios, there have been reports of anomalous information and phrases and sentences and things that people have noted. And this is something that started way back. We're talking Tesla. Even Edison felt like he could invent a radio to the dead. And as time has went on and technology has advanced, I'm now using a process called PRISM to try to record these messages. And as an ITC researcher, I don't feel like I'm qualified to tell you where this information comes from, because I really don't know. But I will say I feel it's my duty to try to document to the best of my ability, and to try to be as objective as possible to try to bring any type of information that might be relevant to where I'm at. Because the whole theory of this is these messages travel in EMF, electromagnetic fields, which we're constantly surrounded by. Radios and EMF. EMF is everywhere, so if EMF is everywhere, that means this communication is everywhere. We just can't hear it. Like we were talking about, the brain is a way of inhibiting being bombarded with things that our consciousness may not be able to handle. And that being said, I still feel that special locations give special results. And that's where I found myself last year for the first time, January of 2024, at the Bridges House. And I bring this prototype of what we now call PRISM to their location. And PRISM is really unique because it is all done through digital processing. It's not connected to the internet. There's no spooky software that's connected to this as far as with pre-programmed words or word banks or anything like that. There's no radio involvement. It's a completely closed system. And this was developed by a friend of mine who's an audio scientist in California, by the name of Joshua Sean. And so he has been allowing me to be the canary in his ITC mine shaft to go and explore these wild locations using this type of technology. And much to my surprise, I'm in Flat Creek, Florida, and I start getting messages about Bigfoot. I start getting messages about portals and information about the bridges. I mean, as you saw in the clip, when things are relevant to where you're at and what you're doing, it's very hard to dismiss that. And there's been personal information that's come through about us and about the investigation. It's given us leads, it's given us hints, but there's been this overwhelming message of protecting. Bigfoot is an essence. Bigfoot is basically, in my mind, more of like an elemental type of transdimensional spirit thing, right? And that's the only thing that's ever made sense to me. But in January of 2024, I'm the guy, probably the most Bigfoot skeptical person on the property, who found footprints. And then I had to turn around and drive to Indiana. That was the weirdest drive ever. It's like, what just happened? So every time you think you might know something about the phenomena has a way of keeping enough mystery to keep you engaged and humbled. That's the one thing I have learned about the Bridges property is you're never going to know everything. You're never going to be an expert, but I enjoy the ability to ask questions. And through my ITC experiments, I've gotten to ask a lot of questions. We have hours and hours of sessions that we've recorded there. So we're going to play a short little video just to kind of give you guys a sample of some of the stuff that we've captured there. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And later, if you'd like, I have my iPad set up. If you'd like to hear a little bit more, we have some headphones. Just let me know and I'll turn that on for you and you can hear more about the stuff that we captured. And one thing you should know too, some of the responses you're going to see in this clip, like I said, you don't have to be exactly in a location to get information about it. Some of these clips were taken from my basement in my log cabin in Indiana, One clip was taken from what I call the murder motel that I stopped at driving home from the Bridges house. I stopped in Tennessee at this very sketchy motel that I put my bed up against the door so no one would come in and get me. And I pulled up Prism. I pulled up Prism in the motel, and you got responses relevant to the location. So anyway, just wanted you guys to share this with you, and we'll answer questions later if you're interested. So thanks.
Can you want to say hello to me?
They seem to think that there are Sasquatches that appear on this property. Bigfoot? Yeah. Bigfoot? Yeah. Is Bigfoot a protector of her or this property? Bigfoot? Is Bigfoot good? Is Bigfoot a protector of her or this property? Bigfoot? Is Bigfoot good? They're trying to figure out what Bigfoot is there. They're trying to find proof of Bigfoot. Bigfoot is a presence. Bigfoot is a presence.
We all have good intentions here. We're just trying to understand what's going on here at the Bridges home.
Does Sasquatch play a role in the Florida investigation? Protection. Who? Government?
Okay, so that is a snippet of what I would probably argue is how many hours of Prism footage do you think you have at this point? Probably 24 hours of Prism footage. Now that is very difficult post-production work to go through and listen over and over and see if you're hearing things. And in the moment when you're having these sessions, it can be very difficult to even understand what they've said. And it's most oftentimes when Matthew goes and diligently goes through and combs through these videos that you can actually hear what the responses are to the questions. So sometimes they can say something very clear and then we'll all yell, like what happened at the portal the other night. Like, oh, and it gets exciting. But oftentimes it's a lot of work that goes into it. But so that's just some of this stuff that we've been able to accumulate over the last 6 years that's been going on. I want to bring up Ed Brown, who had a crazy experience last night. I'm sure he's probably going to mention it just last night at the property. But he's one of the guy who brought me to the Bridges house in the first place in 2019. He's been in this field of research, Bigfoot and the paranormal, for a real long time. I'm going to let him tell you all about that. This is Ed Brown.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan and Bill and Carolyn. Thanks, guys. We are humbled to be honorary members of your family. You guys have been nothing but amazing to us, and we thank you for the years. I've been going there now since I think 2016. Is that right? So I think I've been going a few years longer than these guys, but it's absolutely amazing, and we absolutely love you guys, and thank you. And it's funny, I want to touch on something real quick, because when you guys remember when Ryan told his story about the scream from behind him, when he's telling that story, all I hear is blah, 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 I left Ed in the Sugar Shack alone with a monster. Thank you, Ryan. I didn't know about that till the next morning, by the way. When I got up, I went outside, and they were looking at Ryan's footprints in the road going up to the house. And I'm going, what's happening? And Carolyn comes over to me, and she says, you remember? She says, don't you make fun of him. And I'm like, what? Who? You know? So I didn't know anything about it till the next morning. But they did call me that night and ask me to come to the house. You know, and I'm a researcher. I'm like, I want to be down here. You know, I'm good. But no one told me that just happened. Thanks, Ryan. Oh, man, listen, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I actually enjoy it. I love doing it. I've traveled all over the country. I've been to, I don't even know how many states now, 20, 22, 25 states, something like that, researching Bigfoot. I've been all over the Pacific Northwest. I've been in the South, Texas, Pennsylvania, Alabama. The list goes on and on and on. And I absolutely, thoroughly enjoy it. And there is no place I've been that equal what we've had happen at the Bridges property. And I'm only going to be up here for like 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to take this quick. But I do want to touch on 3 different experiences that I've had on their property. And the first one was actually my very first visit, when a group of us had gone out into the woods. And I kind of consider myself a scientific mind. You know, you have to prove to me something's going on for me to say something's going on. So half the crew out there, and there was probably 8 or 9 of us out there, probably half was in the side of the paranormal, Bigfoot, you know, portals and things like that, and the rest of us were not. So, and at that time I was not, you know. And we were having a debate, sitting in a circle, and I said, well, can I try something, guys? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So I said, all right, you know, I'm open-minded. I'm willing to give it a shot and see what happens. I want to know, you know, and I'm open to it. So I said, if there's someone or something out here that can understand me, please do me a favor and give us a sign. It wasn't 3 seconds had gone by, and we heard a crash. A tree just very slowly, and you could tell that it wasn't a dead tree. You could hear the snaps, you could hear the fibers break as it goes down and it crashes in the woods, probably 100 yards from where we were. So I'm like, whoa, you know. So the guys, of course, and everybody's like, yeah, now what do you think? What do you think now? You know, now you think this. And we're like, well, you know, trees do fall in the woods, you know. So I'm like, well, let's test it. That's the best way to get a scientific answer, right? So I said, let me just try this again. So I said, that was pretty cool. You know, that was neat. Can we replicate that? Can you give me another sign just to prove the first one was you? From the other direction, to my left now, which turns out to be right up by the house, another tree falls. Same time. It's like, okay, this is crazy. So we get up, we kind of run down, because when it fell, we heard like it fell onto metal or something of that nature. You know, we couldn't quite make out what it was. We thought that a tree had fallen down on top of their little shed on the other side of their front yard. So we're running up there to check, and we get there and we don't see a tree. We're like, man, where's the tree? You know, and we're looking around, we can't find it. Someone says, oh my God, guys, come here. So we all run around to the back of the house, and a giant limb had fallen out of a tree. Do you remember this, Bill? A giant limb had fallen out of the tree and hit the top of their house. It was so loud that where we were, which is way back in the woods, we heard it so clear, so loud. There were like 8 people in the house, and not a one of them heard that hit their house. Not one person in the house heard anything. We go get Bill. We're outside going, how do you guys, you know, look at this. there's a giant tree leaning on their house. That was one of those times when you're going, I want to have that scientific mind. I want to say, okay, I know Bigfoot exists. I know they're real, but they're not really ghosts. You know what I mean? They're not really anything spiritual. But whatever that was understood me, and it gave me a very definite answer to a question, and I asked for it to do it, and it did it. So that was pretty cool. The second story is and I'm doing these in chronological because the second story was, when was that? That was back in February, right? Yeah. So this was just last February. We were in town. We were at the property, and we had a pretty good team there. I think Eric was there. Eric Connor from Epic Paranormal was there, and he was in the Sugar Shack by himself, doing a little investigation while the rest of us were up by the house. And we were all going to make our way wherever it was we were going to go and investigate that night. And we had forgotten a piece of equipment in the house. So I go in the house, I said, here, I'll get it. So I go in the house, I go back to the table, I pick up the piece of equipment, and I'm coming back out. And Carolyn and Bill are sitting there in the living room, and Carolyn said, Ed, what is this? And she shows me the iPad. So I pick up the iPad, and it's actually showing a view of the same camera. If you remember the video Ryan showed with the 3 lights kind of floating up into the sky, right? It was showing that same view. And I'm standing there, now she's sitting down, I'm standing next to her, and I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing these little floaties going around, and I'm going, well, it's probably dust, maybe insects, it could be, a number of different things. And all of a sudden, on the left side of the screen, and I'll never forget this, and it's literally changed my view of what I believe now, because I did not believe in these things until I seen this. A light just shows up. And this light is about the size of a basketball, I guess. And it's just there. It's not moving, it's just there. All of a sudden, the light starts to expand. And it goes into this huge, 6-foot circle. It turns into this huge light. And I saw, I know you guys are going to laugh at me. I saw a figure of the same color inside. All I could see was the silhouette, the side of the head, the shoulder, the arm. But I saw it. Nobody, I saw it. The light, whatever that figure was, is gone. I don't know if it was going into the light or if it was coming out of the light. I didn't see it well enough to know, but I saw it. And once it was gone, the light shrinks back down to the size of the basketball again, and then just poof, gone. I have no idea what that was. I have no idea what caused it. The only explanation I can come up with is I witnessed a portal open, something either come in or out of that dimension, and then the portal closed. That's what I feel. Which is why every time we go now, I'm like, let's go here. Let's go here, because that's the most compelling thing that I've experienced. So that was my favorite event since I've been going to the property, and that was pretty wild. The third thing I wanted to talk about, and I wasn't really going to go here, but this, again, as Ryan said, we weren't going to talk about things that happened on this visit, but last night, we were at the house, and Bill and Carolyn had some guests come over, and we're outside talking, and I'm talking to Mike and Susan, right? I'm talking to Mike and Susan, and I'm leaning up against the back of the railing, or the post to the front porch. Susan is standing across from me, and Mike is standing over on the side, and we're talking, and from my view, all I saw was light, like a pop, just like the silhouette, the aurora of the light. I saw the light in the air, and I was like, what the hell was that? And I'm looking around because I could tell it came, that it was on me, but I didn't know where or what it was. And fortunately, they were standing up. You guys want to raise your hand? Thank you. I can't tell you how nice it was to have witnesses who saw it, because without that, it's just another story, you know. But when we talked about it, it turned out that well, we still don't know what it was, but that she felt that it was something that actually came out of me, which is really weird. About the size of a nickel, you said, and the size of a quarter, just 2 flashes of lights that just came out of my hip, basically. And that was pretty wild, pretty compelling. So that was another interesting thing that happened again. That was just last night. So every time we go there, and there's never been a time, like I said, I've been coming here for almost 10 years. Not one time have I been here and something didn't happen. So that was pretty compelling and pretty wild. So thank you for sharing your time with me. I'm going to actually introduce you to a dear friend of mine, Dr. Rebecca Foster. She's awesome. Thank you very much.
Hello. First off, thank you so much. I was invited here by Ed and Ryan, and I can't thank Carolyn and Bill enough for and everybody in the team for allowing me to be a part of this. So, a little bit about me first. Okay, so you read what was in the book, but I have been a practicing medium for almost 40 years in January. It's been my entire life, and I was 4 years old. It was my last memory, my first memory actually, of ever seeing someone who had passed over, and nobody believed me. Of course, I'm 4 years old. Who's going to believe that Grandpa's still sitting in the chair? So I go through life, I dismiss this ability because nobody's believing me. I'm 13 years old. I'm having an absolute breakdown. I do not want to live. I am seeing angels. I am seeing ghosts. I am seeing demons. I'm seeing all of these things. So at 13, I start using this gift. Just to give you guys a background, I have been reading for people. It's a gift that I have from God. I wrestled with it for the first, I think, 15 years of experience using it because I believe in the Bible. And, you know, Jesus and I are like, we're tight. And, it's important to me to make sure I don't go to hell. So I'm wrestling with this, and I'm understanding, and I keep getting brought back to Corinthians, and I keep getting brought back to all this stuff that says spiritual gifts, Rebecca. You have to use it. You have to discern. You have to come to me. You can't go just thanking the stars and thanking everything that you think you need to thank for this gift. You have to come to me. So as soon as I realized that, this is just a compounding thing of being able to help people with their current situations in life, their current paths. So on top of being able to see people who've passed over, I do not consult them though. For instance, if you want a reading from me, I'm not going to ask you who you want to talk to. I'm not going to say, oh, hey, Uncle Joe, you're supposed to buy this house and marry Tom, Dick, or Mary. I'm not going to do that. It's a gift where it is to help people in their lives, to help them heal, to help them understand that I don't know you from Adam, but upstairs does. And before you ask any questions, you give it to God, and then I'm able to help facilitate those messages that maybe you aren't hearing, because I'll tell you what, a lot of people who come to me don't believe in God. Okay, they don't go to church. They're not going to the pulpit and asking Father, whoever, how do I fix this? They're seeking out servants and light workers like myself who are looking for answers, but they don't want to go to God. But he works through people like me. He works through hairdressers. He works through bartenders. He works through unlicensed therapists who are behind a counter, who are waitressing, who are doing all sorts of things to help people to receive a message. So, on top of that, I also am a remote viewer, so I can go hang out at your house while we're here, but I won't do that tonight. And I can walk through it. I'm able to go to locations and see, okay, this is what's going on. I'm a medical intuitive, and I can see what's wrong with you. I can, give you information that you can take to your physician and say, hey, check this out, do this test. I can also talk to animals. It's living and dead, it doesn't matter. I've worked on police cases, so I'm giving you guys kind of a little bit of my background to understand that this is seriously important. It's my life, it's who I am, and I have begged God to take it away from me, but he hasn't. So this is where we're at. Long story short, I have had personal first-hand experiences with Bigfoot, with trolls, who I used to play with when I was little, and with aliens, and I have seen them firsthand, stand between me and Dan. Right here, right in front of me. We're talking and UFOs. So I have believed in this my entire life. It's who I am. So Ed, who is a friend of mine, calls and says one day, hey, you want to go Bigfoot? And I'm like, what? Do I need air to breathe? Of course. Where? Florida. Great. This is like, I don't know, a couple months in the making, and we're going back and forth, and I'm invited to do this. I'm so excited. And then Ryan says, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. Since we're staying on this Carolyn's and Bill's property, Carolyn, she'd like a reading. I'm like, yeah, of course. Oh my God. Okay, she's going to suck the life out of me? I don't know Carolyn yet. Pleasantly surprised, okay? This is my encounter. I'm nervous because, again, I'm staying on a property of people I do not know. And this is the norm. So I get to the house, I walk in, hi Carolyn, nice to meet you. Hi Bill, nice to meet you. And then these guys all go, we're gonna go walk on the trails. You guys do your thing. I know nothing. I know I'm there to Bigfoot, and I know that I'm there to do a reading for Carolyn. So we go sit down. Now I have already walked, I've already pulled in on the property. I see there's a portal right there. Oh my God, we got aliens, we got portals, we got werewolves, we got Bigfoot. Holy shnikes, Batman. Okay. Now I'm already excited because I'm here. The property's beautiful and I'm surrounded by everything that I've ever endured and loved. Okay, so I'm sitting there. Carolyn has not spoken to me other than, hi sugar, would you like something to drink? Okay, that's it. I start reading Carolyn as I would any person. It's just a normal thing. But I'm taken to the property and I was like, I hope you know you have got these portals, these alien things are coming through here. They put something in your head, like you got a chip in there. There's something in your brain. You need to go get this figured out. And I'm thinking abducting you, but you've got Bigfoot. They know who you are. They are interacting with you. And I was enthralled. And I'm just thinking, I'm telling her all of this from firsthand. And she already knew. She knew everything that I was telling her. And I can't express so many things that came through. If you have not been to their property, it is a piece of heaven on earth. It is a piece of heaven, okay? Let me just bring you guys into my space for a minute. How many people here raise your hand, don't be shy, okay? How many people here have ever had a deja vu? All the time? How many? Oh, okay, so maybe, come on, I know. I'm not asking who pooped in their pants, I'm asking who's had a deja vu. Okay. How many people here have ever said, oh my gosh, I need to call Mary, and the phone rings and it's Mary. Oh my God, I was just thinking about you. Okay, now again, I know it's more than that. What the point is this, I am simply like you. It's just that I have had experiences that have opened me up to like, what is this? And I've questioned it and I've honed it and I've used it every single day. And every single person here who has had a deja vu or has thought of someone and they've called, you are all just beginners of using this same ability, the same language. We are all basically this amazing light source of godly energy stuck in a meat sack for this turn around this planet while we're here. And what you have to realize is we are connected. If I wanted to right now, which I will do this just to show you, I can read every single person to specifics in this room right now. And do you guys know me? No. I don't know you either. But it's because what happens is, do you ever go into a daydream? Have you ever daydreamed before? Oh, dear God, has anybody had a daydream before? Hell's bells. That is the same place that you go when you are connected with spirit. Have you ever had an argument while you're doing dishes? I can't even believe he just said that. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Okay. The daydreaming is the same connection because what you're doing when you're sleeping, what you're doing when you're daydreaming, is you're shutting off your brain. Your brain is what tells you can't see ghosts, you can't see Bigfoot, you can't do that. Your brain is mathematical. It's scientific. It learns. It understands what the books say. It understands the letters. But what you have to realize is you need to disconnect from that in order to connect to spirit. You cannot just sit there and go, there's a difference. If I'm looking at you, that's why I'm not looking anybody in the eyes right now. Because eyes connect us right now. Eyes will tell you something about someone. Okay, how many times have you walked into a room and you don't know anybody? Ladies, this is for the ladies especially. You don't know anybody, but you're like, oh, they don't like me. Oh, boy, I'm uncomfortable. Oh, I know she doesn't like me. You don't even know these people. But that is because we have these amazing lassos of energy. And this is what Carolyn is so good at. My words to her was, girl, you are like the electrical fire starter. You could just like make stuff blow up with electricity. And she's like, I know, honey. I know. She already knew, but I was ecstatic. I'm like a kid in a candy store with this. After all this time, I'm still excited when I see something spectacular and amazing happen. And you have to have that childlike heart. You have to go into it going, I'm going to shut off my brain. And my logical side, I'm going to shut it off and I'm going to give that other source of information, that daydreaming, that part of me that just lights up when I think, what could be? You could close your eyes right now and just think, I'm going to fly through the clouds and I'm going to go talk to my grandmother. And guess what? You're probably going to go talk to your grandmother. But people blow it off and go, nah, I'm just making that up in my head. What I'm trying to say is, it sounds crazy. My whole family, the first thing my mother said to me when I told her I was doing readings for people, I was 13 years old. Now this is really funny, and Ryan's gonna cut me off pretty soon, okay? Roll commercial. Anyway, my brother was a major stoner, okay, growing up. And he had one of those Dodge Maxi vans that was like a motorhome. He didn't ever go home. He was always drunk or high, so he'd sleep it off behind a Denny's in his van. So I knew where my brother was all the time. So I'd go in, I'd be like, hey, how are you? And he'd go, oh my God, you guys come sit at the table with my sister, man. She's totally gonna raise all. And then all of his friends were like on acid or tripping, and they'd come sit around the table. That's how it started off, as this massive circus show with me reading people. And it's everybody can do it. It's just literally, my mom goes, what are you gonna do, make stuff up and just take people's money? I said, no, I'm not gonna take any money. I'm just gonna help people. And I do now, but I didn't then. But it's not, I do more free stuff. You have to use your gifts that you are given spiritually, or your talents. Maybe you have perfect fingers that are able to just get in and do some massive heart baby surgeries and all this. That's a gift. That is a spiritual gift. And you have to discern. You have to make sure that you, okay, like for instance this. When you pray, or when you talk up to God, or when you have a fight with someone, the thing is, when you verbalize it, and when you talk to the people and you talk to the internet and you're like, oh my God, this is happening today, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that is now out of your body, out of your heart, and everything is hearing it. All those darker things are hearing it. You know, Tom and Jerry was a real thing. They, you know, the proverbial like angel devil thing on the shoulder. This is real. We all have them. We have those that are here to support us. We have those that are here to wipe us out and take us down. And guess what? Every single one of us has them in our ear. You are fat, you are ugly, you are stupid, nobody loves you. Why are you here? What are you doing? Nobody wants you around. You're better off gone. When you have a strong spirit, when you have a strong soul, and you ignore those things and you're like, nope, nope, I'm not listening, I'm not gonna do this today, you know, I'm not dealing with it, not today, Satan. Guess what those darker things do? They find your friends and your family and the weaker people around you, and they use their big mouths to say what you were ignoring from your inside. So now you're hearing it internally, but now you've got friends and family going, you're crazy. Oh, that's crazy Becky. Oh, she's insane. She talks to dead people. Yeah, right. You know, you're listening to this. Now you're hearing it from friends and family. Can you imagine the beatdown you are having to work through every single day to just get through? I guarantee every person here has dealt with this, where you're going, God, give me strength. Tell me how to write this email and not send it the wrong way. You have to understand there is more going on than what you see and what you hear. And if you are only relying on what your physical limitations are, you are solely, just wholly missing out on what is so amazing out there to happen. It's just, you're limiting what you're spiritually capable of, because I guarantee there's not a person in this room that's probably less than 500 years old soul age. Guaranteed. Everybody here has past lives. You've been a man, you've been a woman, you've been a cobbler, you have been in a war, you have done all sorts of things. But people get so limited because they think, no, I'm not going to think that. I'm not going to look at it that way. I guarantee you, you're limiting yourself. You have to open up who you are spiritually and realize that let me ask you all a serious question. You don't have to raise your hand to this one, but how many people here have said to themselves, I don't want to be here anymore. This is it. I'm done. This is my exit point. Okay, that was something. I will raise my hand to that. Okay, if you have ever felt that or thought that, you are not alone, because we are all targets. And the reason we're all targets is because we are here with a soul. And I guarantee you've run across soulless little people on the highway who don't know how to use the left lane properly. And that's fine. Okay, right? Okay. They're just fillers. But anyway, I know my time is up. Ryan's like, commercial break. The music is rolling. Simply, the point is this. Connect to that higher self, daydream. Allow yourself to connect spiritually. Listen to what we're telling you. These things are on this property. She is a lightning starter, a lightning rod. The property is literally heaven. Go stand on her front lawn barefoot sometime and close your eyes. And just put your vulnerable out there, and I'm telling you, you will wake up so much more inside of you than you have any idea. Should I do a real quick one-person reading right now? Or no, should I move on and introduce Dan?
Yeah, do one.
Just do one? Okay, who is up for this? Just so I know who to buy one. Who's not? Right here? I will, okay. Okay, I'll do you later. Okay. Who does not want a reading? I am not going to put it out there that you want to be a pole dancer. I'm not going to tell people that. So don't be afraid about it. It's nothing bad. It's not, and you would be a great pole dancer. Okay, who raised their hand to say yes? All right, so we've got some hands raised. Okay. So now I'm just checking out light. We're going to do one here. Okay, now I want you in the blue to say hello. Hello. Okay, and now you here who raised your hand right here, say hello. Hello. Wow, okay. Well, it's hard because you both have very good energy. But I'm going to go with you. No offense. Okay, no offense. She just has a bigger mouth. I'm going to take you. And it's the energy. It's not physical. It's the energy is louder. Okay, it's just because that is the energy. So when I read people, Spirit shows me everything on a beachfront. That's where I go. That's where they've always taught me to understand everything. Very quickly, precise in the moment kind of thing. You have a job change coming up, and I don't know if you know about this yet or not. Now, this is not frivolity. This is to let her know the signpost that's coming up. But you have an opportunity that has not yet approached, but you're very, very much aware of the fact that there is something about to happen, and it is completely unknown to you. At the same time, you've never done this before, and this boat is pulling up to your beach. You are barefoot, meaning nobody's going to tell you what to do or how to do it, which means it's a very big timeline or shift in your decision making. It's like one of those books where you get to choose your direction. Nobody's going to help you with this. They're going to support no matter what it is. But it feels like it's also within the same direction or let's say company, different level. So it's the same line of work, different level. And there is also with that, it's somebody that you know that's actually a male energy that you're going to find out later that, that's so weird that I would take. There's no such thing as a coincidence. So this energy that you're going to this change that's going to happen. You're going to recognize someone. This is going to be your signpost that you've made the right decision. And you are going to, very quickly, it's going to put you on a hold. And what I mean like is if you were to put your house for sale in November and it hasn't sold by June, don't make any changes. Keep it going. Let this time breathe. It's also a time where you're going to be letting go of what's on your plate. It's a clearing plate, a clearing situation. I want to give you something different though. I want to add that to you because you did have like a grandmother energy originally come through, and I thought maybe I was twizzling the two of you together. So I just want to clarify this. But she smells like a strudel, like the crumble on the strudel at the top that you would eat off first. Okay. She wants me to say that, and she also, there's something about her voice when she is talking to me that I would almost think, gosh, she has an accent, but it doesn't. I don't know if it's like a southern accent. It almost sounds like there's more of a nasally it's like there's something nasal to her when she's talking. Does that make sense? Okay, so she's, very, very quickly, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to introduce this next person, but I had to listen to her for a second. She's talking about, I don't know why you haven't turned that key already. I don't know what you're waiting for, but there's something about you putting something off that is a big door to open that you're fearful about opening, and you're fearful about stepping forward because it's like, it means that by doing that, you're going to expose everything that you are, and that you're going to be putting yourself vulnerably out, and you're like, I am in a peaceful place, and I don't want this peace disturbed. And she's like, what are you waiting for? Why are you not just shoving that key in and jumping on in? I think that's involving like one specific thing, but we won't get into all of that here. All right, so I'm going to shut up. I think I went on for 10.5 minutes. And I am going to give them, I think it was maybe 11 minutes. I'm going to introduce Dan Lindholm. He is a paranormal person just like us, and he's got lots of experience, and he's matter of fact. So here you go, Dan.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's really a pleasure to be here. I was one of the crew that came for the first time back in 2019 with Ed Brown, and I had quite an experience at that time. We were doing a ghost investigation at the neighboring property, the old beat-down house, and we didn't really have any activity inside the house, so we started going outside the house. And there was a big tree that was down in the backyard. There was actually several trees. It was not long after that hurricane, and I got there first in the backyard, and I was up against this big tree, and I was just looking out in the field out there. You know, I could actually saw a couple lights, and I'm all, hey, there's some lights, and it turned out it was just a freeway. But but then I'm sitting there just still looking out there, and I hear something about only like 30 or 40 feet, if that, from me. It was on the ground flat, like it was a person on the ground flat, and jumped up. And I heard the pea gravel just get really disturbed, and I heard like footsteps. This thing jumped up and ran away. And then after it ran away, what it did was it went out in the forest, and it went hidden in the forest, and then it came back up this little hill over here. And by now we had told everybody that something had happened. And that's when we got that thermal that you guys saw, that the guy on the thermal. And that was zoomed way in. I don't know why we didn't have the out. You can actually see some. He wasn't like running. He wasn't even standing up. He was like on his elbows on this little hill, looking at us like this. And that was that picture you guys saw with the recreation. And like I say, you can actually see. It looks like a person, really, like this, on the top of the hill, looking at us. Shortly after that, the same guy with the thermal, he caught a video of something on all fours. The same creature got down on all fours from a different direction and was coming towards us. And he thought he had that video, and for some reason, the video wasn't on the camera. So all we got was that one still shot. But that was my first time coming out here, and I thought that was real exciting. We also had a tree come down out there. We're running around. This is back when I was gung-ho, man. I used to go after the growls. My history is I started way back I saw my first Bigfoot back in 1986 when I was just out of high school. And I saw from 30 feet away, I saw an 8 foot tall, 4 foot wide Bigfoot. It was in the middle of the night and it was by campfire light that just blazed up. But I will never forget that. And ever since then, I've been real interested in Bigfoot. That was a real crazy experience that night when I saw that Bigfoot. And I put it in the back of my mind. I didn't know it was a Bigfoot. It looked more human than ape. And all I really knew at the time was In Search Of. They had a show about Bigfoot, and they said it was an upright ape. And what I saw was not an upright ape. So I kept it inside for like 25, 30 years. I didn't tell anybody until I started hearing about there's a DNA study and they were going to find out Bigfoot's a real species. So I said, you know what? Now's the time to tell my stories, or else I'm never going to get to. So I got my YouTube channel going in 2011, and I hooked up with Ed Brown. We did a bunch of videos and a bunch of interviews with all big names in the Bigfoot community. Kind of made a name for ourselves as Big Truth. And I moved to Oregon, and I did a whole bunch of field experience. I got a whole bunch of experience in the field in Oregon. And I had all kinds of experiences there. I had all kinds of trees pushed down. I had visuals that I saw, like 3 more Bigfoot in my life that I found in Oregon. And all kinds of stuff. We got good audio. We had some fake stuff that we thought was real. And it comes, you know, this is the thing about investigators. If you're a real investigator, you got to do the follow-up work. You can't just say you saw something and then just post it on Facebook and everybody's going to believe you. You need to go back the next day, try to find footprints. If you got a picture of something, you need to go the same time of day, same sunlight, everything, and try to recreate that picture to show that it's not there now. There's a lot of things with Bigfoot. And I was always a flesh and blood guy. Always. I thought, you know, maybe it's not an ape, but it's just a big person with hair, you know, and flesh and blood just like us. That's always the way until I got out on this property and got some experience. And it changed my entire perspective on everything. You know, when we first got there in 2019, it was all about Bigfoot at the bridges. And that's exactly what we were looking for. We didn't have any paranormal equipment out there or anything, you know. And over the years, I don't even know how many times I've been out there, but I've been out there quite a few times over the years, almost every trip. And it's opened up my mind like you wouldn't believe. And I'd like to say about the group, you know, I mean, these are some amazing people that you heard from tonight and you're going to hear from. And we've got PhDs on this group, you know, that's not even here, you know. And any other group that's like this, I don't think there's any group like this, honestly, because every other group is either Bigfoot or ghosts or, you know, and this is really a varied group across all kinds of different, you know, sciences. And it's amazing how it's all coming together to tell a story, and it's like the story of everything. You know, I've come to find out, or it's my theory, but I'm pretty dang sure that we're the weird ones. People are the weird ones. You know, UFOs, aliens, human spirits, Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever, they're all on the other plane, behind the veil. We're the ones that can't cross over into that other plane and interact. We're the one. We can only see the fringes of the other plane coming through. You know, ghost is like, it's a residual thing that just bleeds through from the other side. You know, no matter what you want to call the other side, you want to call it other dimensions, the other side of the veil, heaven, it's all the same. It's all not here, but little bits and pieces bleed through. And I want to say, like, Rebecca is an amazing, I don't want to say psychic. She's way more than a psychic, but she's an intuitive like you wouldn't believe. And when we get Rebecca, along with the Prism device, This is groundbreaking. You guys don't realize there's a lot of ITC devices in the world, but there is no ITC devices that will actually talk back to you in sentences. This is the only one in the whole world. Every other one, you get a random word here or there, people get all excited. We're having conversations with the other side, and there's nothing in the machine to make the voices. Like Matt said, we don't even know where they're coming from. You know, it's really, really groundbreaking and crazy. And then you marry her abilities with this Prism device, and we hear what they say, and she can tell us what they're telling her. And it's an amazing marriage of two fields of science, completely different. One is completely technology, the other is completely spirit. And in marrying these two things, we've opened up a whole new door. Now we are understanding not just that we're having communication, but we're understanding who we're communicating with. And they're giving us big messages. And like was mentioned earlier, they also give us personal messages about ourselves. Which, and it's not always nice. It's not all fun and games, this paranormal stuff. It's dead serious. You know, they'll tell us about sickness, disease, deaths. They tell us about things in the world that are coming, real bad things. You know, it's an amazing thing that we got going on here. It's a one of a kind. What we got in this group, in this place, at Bill and Carolyn's, the people that they have attracted to their property, it's a one of a kind thing. It's a really, really special thing, and I am just really proud to be part of it. And I'm done.
Dan Lindholm, everybody. We have a fun thing with Dan. Daytime Dan is different than late night Lindholm. But we got one more member on our team that's going to share some experiences. I think we first met maybe a year and a half ago now, right? But let's get her up here to introduce herself. Tabitha Moore, everybody.
So please note, I am not a speaker. Okay, I'll talk, but I'm not a speaker. I grew up in a very religious household, and there's things that we were not allowed to talk about. When I was 7, we moved into a house, and my dad, we slept upstairs. My dad started fussing at me, saying, "Hey, you need to get back upstairs." And my mom was like, "She's upstairs sleeping." And my dad was like, "No, she's not. She's playing." And my mom was like, "No, she's not. She's sleeping." And this went on for a while, and my mom was sitting looking down the hallway because I would not go to my dad. My dad was 6'3", and he was military. So there was no way I was going to my dad. And this little girl peeked down around and looked at my mom, and my mom's like, "That's not Tabitha, that's a ghost." And my dad's like, "What?" And now, at 49, I think, how did my dad, because I got grounded during this event, how did my dad think I was a little Victorian child who was very pale? I guess after 7 kids, he didn't know which one was which. So, growing up in a very, like I said, Christian household, it was not a great thing to mention to your friends that you saw things or talked to people or anything like that. So I just really never did. It came out one time when one of my friends came over. But, so growing up, my mom talked to me about it after a while, and my sister did, and my dad had some experiences. So I knew I wanted to go into this field because I did have a lot of, I don't want to say persecution, but I had a lot of people saying bad things about me. So I wanted to go into the paranormal field so I could help somebody else. In my first case, we were able to help somebody else who had went through the same things. Going forward, I've been in the field for almost 20 years. I met Ed in June of 2024, June 22nd at the Bell Witch Cave. He met me about a month before, and I don't remember him. So, his pickup line was, "Hey, I got a location you need to go to." And I was like, okay. July 11th, I had packed my bags and we were on our way. So I'm not into the paranormal. I am not into UFOs. My dad and I did search for UFOs, because that was the one thing we had in common, Star Trek, all that. So we did go outside and look. My first UFO experience was in 2010, and I was close to that thing, and I don't really like talking about it. I do talk about it to some friends, but the experience kind of scarred me and my mom and 2 other people. We come down to this location, and we're sitting on the back deck with Bill and Carolyn, and Ed plays this clip he has. I don't deal with Bigfoot. I don't, if he exists, that's great. But he plays this clip, and it's of a sound, and we're trying to figure out what it was, and he said, I think it's a Bigfoot. He plays it, and as he's playing it, something answers back in the distance. And I was like, did y'all hear that? And the strange thing is, I think Bill was the one that heard it with me. And I was like, nobody else heard it? So he played it again, and it answered back a second time. And then everybody heard it. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm good with this location. I don't want to come back. So then we did come back. It's kind of like Ryan. I just got in the car and was like, I'm going home. I don't care. So we come back to the location, and Ryan, he's really into space, and he's like, hey, we're going to call the UFOs down here. I'm like, no, we're not. He's like, yes, we are. We're going to go out there, and we're going to hunt for some UFOs. I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, I was like, I'm scarred. I'm really scarred from my experience, and I don't want to do this. And Ryan's like, yeah, you can do it. So I'm like, no, I'm not. So we go out there, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. We did see a few that night, and it was nice. They weren't as scary as I thought they were going to be from the first experience. But what was my first experience? Besides that, we saw a man running through the road. Up through the parking lot area. And he just ran from one tree to another. He was solid white. And I was like, okay, this is good. This is my specialty, the paranormal side. So this trip, I came in, gung-ho, I was like, I'm going to write down on a piece of paper a word, and I'm not telling nobody that word. So Ed was there, nobody else had gotten to the location, and I put the word in my notebook, folded it up, and I was like, somebody, if you can read this, and I showed it around, I said, you let me know what the word is, and nobody else in this location is going to know it. So my daughter is 12, and she would call me, and she's talking, and she's like, da 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 da, and then she went real quiet. She goes, oh, I'm supposed to tell you cupcake. And I said, what? She said, cupcake. That's what I'm supposed to tell you. I don't know why. And I said, okay. She goes, in fact, I got a cupcake today. Well, I went to Ed, and I was like, listen to this conversation. And he's like, okay, it's a cupcake. And I went to Ryan, I was like, the word in the book is cupcake. But my daughter's in Nashville area, all the way up in Tennessee. And I was like, that was amazing that they got the message to her to get to us. And I was like, all right, this is cool. So last night, everybody had come, some people had come home for dinner, and I went out back because everybody else was out front having experiences. And I was sitting there and I'm looking up in the sky, and the night before I had seen like 8, 9 like UFOs go over. I was like, that's really interesting. So I was out there by myself, of course, with no equipment, laying back, and this light comes across the sky, and a flash in the sky, and it flashed a second time. The craft went into the light and never came back out. So it was like it was a warp speed on Star Trek, and it just started went straight in, and it just disappeared in front of me. And I'm like, why does this happen when no one's around? I don't understand. It's the weirdest thing. So I do have to say, this is the most interesting property I have been at. I've been to locations where I can walk alone, and I barely go outside alone at this location because I know something's going to be out there. And they're not shy about it. They throw things at you. Like the other night, they were down at the portal, and I was listening to another device we had, and it was like, turn around, and I'm like, no, thank you. And they're like, turn around. And I was like, what's out on the back deck? And I was like, is it aliens or what do you? It said yes. He's like, get up and go. And I was like, I'm by myself. I'm not getting up and going. Don't even want to look at this point. But you're never disappointed. And I just want to say thank you so much to Carolyn and Bill, because when we come in, I met Ed, and then everybody else I just came in. Like, nobody invited me except for Ed, and these people have put up with me. It's like, I'm a package deal. But Bill and Carolyn, I just tell you, we come in and we all act like siblings. I'm surprised.
Ryan's her favorite, just so everybody
Yeah,
knows.
Ryan's her favorite. I found out this trip. We all did. But I just want to say it's been such a blessing because I had to come onto this property and face some of my biggest fears. And locations, like I said, Waverly Hills, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, I would walk into those locations without a problem by myself. And I don't want to go outside by myself. I make it to the deck and that's it. And so that's just it. It's just a wonderful place.
Thank you, Tabitha. Tabitha Moore. And we're still glad to have you. And I just have to say, if you want to be the favorite, have an experience where you have to go see a therapist on a weekly basis. That's the only cost. But that's going to do it for the sharing our stories section. We wanted to leave a part of this presentation because I think a big thing for us is you find comfort in community, and that's what our main purpose about visiting the property over at Flat Creek Road is. It's about trying to provide comfort to Bill and Carolyn through community and also through evidence and through trying to show the world that these things are real and you're not a crazy person if you're willing to talk about it publicly. So now I'd like to give the opportunity with that theme in mind of comfort and community, if there are people here that would like to, I don't know, share a story that they've had happen to them in their life, even specifically at the property at Bill and Carolyn's place. And there's a couple big stories I forgot when we were opening. I didn't even talk about the satellite dog story. That's another manifestation story that I think a lot of people have heard about. And the list is endless about things that have happened out there. And if you've been out there and you want to share a story, it doesn't have to be at the house. We'd love to have you share it, and I would ask that you come up and use the microphone so everyone could hear you. I know there's a couple people here that I've already tried to butter up in advance to see if they would share something. So you could use that. Billy, you want to come up? Right, let's get Billy up here. We've got Billy, I swear to, I love this man. And I just met him, we're on the property, and I am, you know that song, Coward of the County? That might have been written about me. And we heard gunshots, and only because I was with you, we ran towards the gunshots. And I was like, this is not who I am. And I was like, I love this man. So let's, Billy, thanks for sharing. Let's hear what you got. And this has got to be kind of close.
Thank y'all. Like Ryan said, so I'm basically a nobody when it comes to what they do. I was out at Carolyn and Bill's property, helping out around their house, doing some work. Well, these guys were coming down for their investigation to check things out. Carolyn asks me, she's like, hey, would you mind being armed security for these guys that's coming out? I'm like, yeah, sure, you know, this kind of stuff's interested me, so I wanted to check it out anyway, kind of see for myself. I've always been that type of person that I've got to see it to believe it. So I'm there. The day Ryan's coming out to show up, Carolyn's got a meditation chair down by the creek. And she asks me to go down and move this chair and bring it up to the campsite, or where the fire is, where everybody's going to be sitting around at. Now, I know about all the activity that's been said that went on out there at that property. Carolyn told me when I came out there on the property to start with, she's like, just know that all this goes on, but you're fine, you'll be safe, you're protected. So knowing that she told me I was protected, for some reason I felt great. Felt like I was untouchable. So I'm good. I'm going all through their woods. So I get down there to move this cheer, and when I pull up on their mule, I've got another cheer to replace it. When I get over there to reach down to touch that cheer, I hear a sound that I've never heard in my life before. That scared me. I back up, and it's coming from across the creek. I back up, I try to catch myself, put myself back together because, like I said, it was a sound that I've never heard before. I've always been in the woods. I ain't scared to be by myself out there. But that sound just terrified me. So after I got myself together, I took and I said, look, I said, I'm just doing what Grandma asked me to do. She asked me to come down here and move this chair. I'm just doing what she wanted me to do. I gave it a second. I slowly approached the chair, was able to touch the chair. I picked the chair up, switched the chairs out, got on the mule, and by the time I got on the mule, I could hear something kind of take off through the woods. So after that, I was ready to get out of there. So I got out, went back up to the house. I tell Carolyn about it, and she's like, hey, you mind telling these guys? So I tell Ryan and Ed about it. They want me to come out with them as well. So now I'm really interested. We saw a lot of interesting stuff while I was there with them. They're all taking pictures, just random pictures in the night. Now, like I said, to start with, I'm that person that I've got to see it to believe it. So they're taking these pictures and they're looking at them and they're getting images of paranormal stuff out there. Me being me, I'm like, yeah, they're probably using some kind of AI stuff. So I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing? So they're like, we're just taking pictures. Okay, so you're just using your camera? Yeah. So what I do, I pull my camera out and I'm taking pictures. I can do this too, guys. So, needless to say, when I go back and I start checking my pictures, and it's one that I've got to get with Ryan tonight after all this is over, but you can actually see an image of a lady standing out at the edge of the woods when you zoom into it. You can see her hair, you can see her facial, you can see everything. After that, it really made me start believing. I was there for several sessions with them. I seen the devices they use, the communication that takes place out there on that property. And now being a part of it, I can actually say that it's real. The things that are happening out there on their property are for real. It's not something that's being made up. It's not anything like that. It actually takes place. And like I've heard these guys say, it is day and night. You can go out there during the daytime and it is beautiful. It is the most peaceful place you can ever be at. And then when you go out at night, it's a total different thing. Like the night Ryan was talking about with the gunshots. So we go down, and I think Ed touched base on this too. Eric, which is not here tonight, he was there. He was doing one of his paranormal investigations down there. Eric got freaked out, wouldn't come out of that sugar shack. So we all take off down to where he's at. We're having to bang on the door, and he's peeking out before he would even open the door. He got that scared. We're all down there, we're trying to figure out what's going on. Now I'm recording on my phone this whole time. We're all standing there talking, and we never realized it. I realized it here lately when I went back and started watching the video again. But there is a creepy doll music playing in the background that none of us even recognize or hear while we're down there. So, but that's some other things that I'm sharing with Ryan tonight. One of my best experiences out there is we did a C5. And we did a meditation out there on the back porch that night. I had an out-of-body experience to where I was able to look down and see myself. It was a wonderful experience. We also had a chance to ask for stuff to take place if you want it. Me, I have a back condition. I have a spinal cord stimulator in my back. I've been on medication to help with pain and all this. So when it went to me, I asked to be healed, to be out of pain, to where I wouldn't have to take no medication no more. We did our thing. Everything went through that night. Eric, which y'all heard Ryan talk about, when we left that night, he went to the camper and stayed and had an incident with the lights and waking up and losing time. Me and Eric left that property at the same time that night. When I left, I was going down the road. I seen a light out in the middle of the field, took a picture of it, and I seen the light moving, and I'm like, that's not no car. So I stopped to take a video of it. Well, I think that I take a video of it, I go to drive, get home. Don't think nothing else of it. Well, from the time that I took the video, and the video shows nothing but just complete red out. I lost 2 hours on a 15-minute trip from Carolyn's to my house. I lost 2 hours time. But with that being said, I no longer take any kind of pain medication for my back.
I mean, we don't know the answer to this mysterious riddle. I mean, we think we understand what may have happened. I mean, it's his intention. It's all about what he did. And I think Carolyn will be the first person to tell you that everyone has access to this energy that's out in the world, and it's being open to it, and it's trying to tap into it. It's using meditation or whatever other, whatever you're into, prayer, that kind of stuff, to try to access that. I do want to get some more personal stories if we can, but I think also maybe we'll blend in. I know we've been here for a couple hours talking, so if you have to go, obviously you can go, but maybe we'll take some. We do want to be open to questions. We don't know if we'll have the answer to whatever your question might be, but we will try to answer it to the best of our abilities, possibly. So we can do questions or we can do personal shares, if you'd like to. I mean, I can do this all night, so I'm not worried about it, but I don't know. I know we're not going to be here all night doing this, but so if anybody has a question do you have a question or a story you want to share? Okay, a question. You want to hear about the dog man. Okay, when I first came to the property in 2019, I was like, can we as paranormal people please stop putting the word man after certain animals? We're losing credibility, right? It's like frog man, dog man, it's like wolf man, it's like there's every kind of animal, man, it's a creature, people think we're ridiculous. And then you hear stories, first-hand, second-hand accounts of what could possibly be a dog-like humanoid creature on 2 feet, not 4. And then you start to believe. And I think also the further you get into this field, and I think anybody on the team will tell you this, the more stories you hear. If we can't believe each other when we share stories with one another, and we talked about this at the beginning, we really got nothing. We're kind of starting from scratch if we don't do that. And we have to maintain our sense of curiosity, because curiosity leads to adventure, and adventure leads to change, personal change and growth, right? And so I had to be like, stop naysaying the dog man. And then you hear stories around Flat Creek, where there's reports of chicken coops that have been attacked, and people who aren't, I can't say names or anything like that, saying it's a large dog-like, wolf-like creature on 2 legs, bipedal, meaning walking with 2 legs, that did the damage. There's been sightings of large wolves by Bill and Carolyn over the years. There's been talk about something called a dire wolf on the property there. We have a wolf print now as of August 1st. So yeah, we don't really know, but Michigan is famous for their dog man reports. Lots of people are coming forward and talking about what we are calling the dog man. And other people may have called werewolves, things like that over time. But I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to add to that might clarify it. That's pretty good. But so yeah, does anyone else have? You got a story or a question?
I got a question.
Okay.
She's got a chip in her brain, right?
Okay.
Have you all done any experience or looking into that at all? For surgery that might be interested in looking at it to see if it gives off any type of signal? Yes.
Yeah, I'll repeat the question for everybody because I know you couldn't hear. He was asking, we have the evidence apparently that there's a chip in the brain. Have we done any experiments to try and see if there's any readings that we can measure from the brain, or talk to any surgeons about possibly seeing if they can remove the chip? And we have tried to do with the voltage meter. We've used other devices.
The RF detector, radio frequencies.
Yeah, radio frequency.
Oh, come over here, Matt. You remember these specifics. So the short answer is yes. Matt will tell you what he remembers.
We had a RF detector, which is a radio frequency detector, and we did this on everybody on the team. We did it inside, outside, where we take the radio frequency detector, we take it all over our bodies, and it would not go off at all. We would put it on Carolyn, and it would not go off until we got to the top of her head, and then it would spike, which would indicate that there's at least some sort of like transmitting going on or receiving. I don't really know, but there was a radio frequency that was going off. And we did this inside and outside of the house and cannot explain it at all. But yeah, different than the voltage. It's totally different than the voltage meter. But like I said, we can't explain exactly what happened, but we are at least able to document that happening. I mean, we don't know what that means though. Yeah, I don't know how long the chip has been there at all.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we don't have the answer to that. And I mean, the true reality of the situation here is everybody on this team, we have jobs. So this is something we do outside of our main careers. So, and we don't have the access that some people might have to technology and things like that. I mean, we do feel that we're on the forefront by the good graces of having Matthew Jackson a part of the group. With the PRISM device, we believe that is the forefront of all ITC devices. I've never seen anything like it. And so we believe we have an upper hand in that area for finding research and trying to find out answers. And we ask a lot of questions that are pointed about these things like that. Now, a surgeon, that would be interesting. That's something we haven't explored yet, to have further testing or imaging done of the chip and to see if that would, I mean, that's way beyond my pay grade. When we start talking about maybe opening up and having a surgery in someone's head to remove a chip, that's way beyond something I'm comfortable even recommending or doing. But it would be something that would be interesting to get a consult on. Maybe we can discuss that later with her primary care physician now, or doctor. But anybody else have a share or a question?
I have two.
Oh, you have two? You have 2 questions?
Okay, my first question is, why do you think?
Okay.
My first question is, why do you think that there's only certain portals, like at their property, not everywhere? And then let me ask the second question.
Yeah, just that.
The second question is, I'm curious why, because I remember watching the Bigfoot show when it came on regular TV. Why do you feel like no one's ever tangibly caught Bigfoot or Wolfman?
Okay, I'll probably look to Ed and Dan for the second question, but let's bring Rebecca in for the first one. The first one was, why do we think that there's portals on that property and maybe not other places?
Why are they here?
Okay, so I will tell you that there's the 2 portals that were there that were, that I saw, one of which
was very alien manifested. It's long before they purchased their property. It has been there. They're using it to come and go. It's behind the house, across and down their little gully there. The other one that we always are standing out by the gate, same thing. These are what I would call interdimensional portals. And if anybody has felt weird in the last, I think, 6 to 7 months, there's been a lot of shifts with, if you are keeping up on any of this stuff, there's a lot of shifts in physics and quantum physics with God particle and the Hadron Collider. And so I really think this is playing an emphasis into that. But the third portal, which I will call Carolyn's portal, when I first met her, I said, I think that the government is coming in to study all of this and wanting to study you because they want to know how to create more portals like this. However, in order for someone to create a portal like Carolyn's portal, you're going to have to go through an absolute living hell of manifested, stored, felt pain, torture, immense energy. And with this, we create. Have you ever been upset and maybe caused lights to flicker or had lights flicker? Have you ever done anything like that? Anybody? Okay, so this must be a level up. Have you ever lost someone and your lights go out, or your light bulbs burn out, or your lights flicker? Because this is a huge thing. When someone visits, their energy is so strong that it'll blow the filaments in a light bulb very quickly. And it's the same concept. It's just that, like Ryan had said earlier, this is a manifestation of something that she has that she's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Why is it the way that it is? And I think that's what the portal is about, is it was created on this amazing land that literally she chose. Like, she could have had anywhere, and she chose this place. And I think not only did it call her energetically, but she felt like this is the spot. And again, in order to mimic and copy, they're trying to figure out how to create more of these portals because these allow us to move through. Because let me just put it this way. Bigfoot is interdimensional. Physical being, you can poke him, he can poke you, but he's capable very much of traveling interdimensionally. And I'm going to shut up, but I do want to provide this because I thought I should have shared this a little while ago. Okay. I'm just trying to keep track of my time. Okay, I have 1 minute. So, I was in Ohio, Bigfooting. There's a pod out there. They're very much family oriented. They do not inbreed. They travel to find partners for the males and the females outside of their groups. They have patriarchs, they have matriarchs, they have a whole group of hierarchy. And I'm out doing this. There's a portal. Portals have this way of sparkling, and through portals you will also see fae or fairies. They're always around the portals. It's just sparkles, it's blue, it's beautiful. So we are out in Ohio. We go to this tree out in the woods in East Fork, Ohio. It's a huge state park. And I had some fake not this time. I had peanut butter. We had some bracelets. They love peanut butter. They will open it, eat it, put it away, give us some more. And so we leave all of this stuff here. Meanwhile, I'm in Springfield, Illinois. And there's a couple, Bill and Tom. They said, I have a Squatch. Yes, his name is Gunther. He's about 12 feet tall. And he stands at the base of the windowsill. And they can see his reflection watching TV while they're watching it. Tom thinks it's cool. Bill, not so much. So I had picked that when you meet a Bigfoot, when you are in their presence, they mark you. I don't know how, but they mark you. They know where you are. They know how to find you. They do mind speak. They communicate with you telepathically. I'm doing the dishes one day, and Gunther shows up, and he says, "Where's Tom?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. I'm in Iowa." I get on the messenger. "Tom, I need to know where you're at. What's going on?" And he goes, "I've been in the hospital. I had a heart attack." Well, Gunther's upset. So I go to their house a little later, and I have a clear plastic container, and I put in an amethyst, a quartz, a fake little opal-looking plastic thing, and 2 fake plastic diamonds. And I put them in this thing by Gunther's tree where he always manifests, and like through this portal. The box, I'm just going to shorten it, disappears. Box is gone. Fast forward to where we put all that stuff in Ohio. My friends go back to check to see if everything's gone, and there's my 2 plastic diamonds sitting right there by the tree. I was like, holy shnikes, Batman, those are mine. They will travel. I guarantee you, we're here tonight doing this. They're here. I was watching for them. There was actually something back here that was present amongst all of us, and I kept watching to see where, and it showed up back here, and I thought, I'm not gonna freak anybody out, but it's here. They're paying attention, they're listening, and if any of you are literally curious about what's going on, and you've got trees, they may find you guys too, so send it up there. But that's why she's got a portal that she created. I'm almost convinced it's because of that immense energy that she has had to deal with and endure. And it just kind of went boom, like a sonic boom on her property. It's like a remote.
I just want to address your second question there. I think you were asking why there aren't portals everywhere. And we don't know. For one thing, we don't know that they aren't because we've only, really studied a few areas. I know I'm on an investigation in Colorado also, and we believe there's portals there. But it's an energy thing, though. It's because that place in Colorado has an extreme energy where there's some meter that, it measures like the magnetism of the Earth or the gravity of the Earth or something like that. And this place in Colorado is the only place besides Skinwalker Ranch they register as 0. So it's definitely like an energy thing, and I believe the same thing at this property. It's some kind of energy. Maybe it has something to do with the energy grid that you've seen, but we don't know. Literally, there could be hundreds of portals everywhere, and the fact that nobody's seen something happen there or nobody's investigating there doesn't mean they're not there. You know what I mean? So literally, we don't know how many portals there are in the world. We don't know if they're only in special places or if they're everywhere.
Can we take the other question? Sure. All right, and your other question, I believe, was why have we not found anything tangible to prove Bigfoot's existence?
Yeah, like we haven't trapped it. We don't have hair. We don't I know we have footprints, but
right.
More, hunters find skulls and horns and different things when they're in the woods. So I was just through all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a great question, and I guess my answer would be a 2-part answer. Number one, I believe we have. We've collected different teams that are out have collected hair samples. One of my friends, and actually Rebecca's friend, he's on television, he's on the show Expedition Bigfoot. They found some hair samples in Kentucky. They actually ran the, and I'm no scientist, but it's like mitochondrial DNA. That's what he said. And he came back. I mean, they actually collected DNA from a chimpanzee in the middle of Kentucky. That's unique. And that's just one example. I mean, there's thousands of them. Like you said, there's the footprints. We're finding footprints in places that people don't go. And and no one would know we were going to be there. Why are we finding a footprint up on a mountain in the middle of Oregon when no one knows we're going there? But we do. So we believe we have found tangible things. I think the thing we're missing is literally a body. But why would we find a body?
Do they not ever die?
Okay, this is a 2-parter. It's a 2-part answer. All right, for one, we believe that Bigfoot lives a very long time. Okay, now in the Colorado investigation, it's kind of the same where we were using a psychic to get added information on top of our evidence. And we were told by the psychic that the Bigfoot there is 1,000 years of our years old. So that's the one part. But the other part is, Dr. Meldrum, who recently died, he estimated there was about 1,000 Bigfoot in the entire continent. Okay? There's at least 40,000 bears. You never even find a bear carcass, ever. Nobody ever finds bear carcass. Once in a great while, somebody might find one. You never hear about it. And it's because it takes literally only like 3 to 4 days, maybe a week, for any carcass in the forest to absolutely disappear, bones and everything, depending on what's around to eat on it or whatever. So that's the thing. Nature has a way of taking care of its own if something was. And then there's also the theory that they bury their own. So there's lots of different theories to explain why we have not found a dead Bigfoot body. Anybody else have any other questions or stories they want to share? All right, I'm going to bring back the boss.
The boss. Well, first of all, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for, this is a very unique thing that we've done here tonight. And I think that you all being here has been a very special moment. And we want to thank Bill and Carolyn one more time for all the help that they've had with the people suggesting that we have this. Alicia and Tracy and everybody here at Big Muddy who, God, I mean, that food was so good. Thank you. Round of applause for Big Muddy Farm. And to the friends and family of the Bridges, golly, it's finally so great to be able to put faces to the names that we've been hearing about for years. And we hope this was enjoyable, informative, and if nothing else, I guess, somewhat entertaining for you. But thanks again for coming out, and we're going to be here for just a little bit longer if you want to, if you have any questions and things like that you'd rather share privately. Thanks again.